Welcome, I'm Elio, this is Linda, and we're from Westminster.org, and we are going to discuss a plot detail, an important one, a very major one, from A Dance of Dragons.
A shocking one.
A shocking one, which is the final Jon chapter and what happens there. Now, obviously, he gets stabbed. He gets multiple, it's a
bad situation.
Yeah,
it's clearly, he's very badly off.
It's not compared to the assassination of Julius Caesar.
It's very much his friends, basically, putting him out of his misery because he's threatening to change things too much. He's doing something they feel that shouldn't be done with the wall and with the watch. And
because he received a letter from Ramsay telling him that you have to give me all these things, or I'm going to go up there and cut out your heart.
Ramsay claims that Stannis is dead, and he's got Mance and all these things, and he's going to come to the wall, basically.
Yeah. And Jon is trying to figure out what to do, and he decides, well, I'm going to send Tormund and as many men as he needs up to Hardhome to try and rescue the thousands of wildlings there, because he wants to doesn't want them to become whites and be using us. And then he said, I'm going to ride against Ramsay. This has been a point of a lot of argument. Like, was it the right choice?
He probably takes it as basically the wall itself is the watch is being threatened, so it is not so much me getting involved in political matters of the realm because Ramsay has issued a direct threat to the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Surely that makes it a matter for the Night's Watch.
The other possibility, some people have preferred, Jon should just give himself up and say, hey, leave the watch out of it. They didn't have anything to do with it. Just do whatever you want. To me,
it's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It would be kind of like the people who said that Robb should have just surrendered right off.
Yeah.
It's not how people work. I think
waiting for Ramsay to actually come there and actually engage in battle with the Night's Watch would perhaps have been the smartest choice in that sense, because
it's not clear that he's actually planning to take off that very day.
No.
He's talking about he's going to consult with people. Maybe he's going to wait a while longer, but he was just getting their commitment to go.
Because suddenly the watch is allowed to defend itself.
Yes, it is. To defend itself.
Yoren defends himself and the recruits, even though the king's... It's not like he's saying, sorry, we have nothing to do with the king's affairs and please just let us...
Do you think there's some personal feeling in it as well? Because obviously he thinks, at some point, he's thinking of you can't do this. This is against your vows, and then he's thinking of his siblings, and he thinks they're all dead, except my bride, and he's thinking Arya's escaped. Arya needs my help. And
I suppose that it does enter, and that's probably why he decides to actually ride out. But I suspect that he also thought that the Watch would accept it in the sense that I'm not taking primarily members from the Night's Watch, and this was a threat to the Watch by threatening me.
Well, for them, it looks like it's too much. He's done too much to change things, and I guess, in a certain sense, he's deserting us, and you don't desert from the Watch. So he's stabbed. And one of the interesting things is, he thinks the first cut is a little cut, but then, as people have noted, blood is seeping through his fingers. That's not a little cut, and his hands are getting clumsy. It's shocked. He has been deeply wounded. He doesn't realize.
Yes.
He's stabbed. I think we see at least 4 stabbed, and then he thinks ghosts, and he falls flat, face down in the snow, and doesn't feel the next knife, or maybe there's a 4th knife. So what's happened? Well, you and I firmly believe he is dead.
Yeah.
He's absolutely dead. It is a cliffhanger, because...
No, yes, it's true, because if we don't see the dead body from somebody else's perspective, they're usually not dead with George.
Yeah.
So... that's as we talked the other day about, cliffhangers. You don't leave that person hanging on a cliff and then you come back next week and see them falling off the cliff.
No, that's
people wouldn't be coming back for those cliffhangers.
The cliffhanger exists to create a dilemma. How do they get out of this? Not will they get out of this, is how do they get out of it?
And with George is always the added, what will it cost?
What will it cost? That's absolutely true, because we believe he's dead, but he's coming back.
Yeah.
We've seen it enough times with magic. But there's always a cost.
There's always a cost.
Look at Uncat, as we call her on the forum. She is not at all like the motherly, strong Catelyn Stark. She is a spirit of vengeance. Yeah. Look at Ungregor, as we call him. Now Sir Robert Strong, I guess. Suppose we have to get used to that one. Inhuman monster, doesn't speak, doesn't eat, doesn't sleep. We don't know what's happened exactly. But
we don't know if he's got a head.
Even the most normal of them who've come back from death is Beric.
Yeah.
Who
started out probably relatively normal after the first resurrection, and then slowly seemed to be losing more, and he loses memories, personality, sort of just
his humanity
leaking away.
Leaking away or being burned up, I suppose, of each one. To the point where then he willingly sacrifices himself to give Uncat life.
Yeah.
If we discuss how will he come back? We have various options.
Yeah.
One is what we saw in this book. Mokoru's weird healing of Victarion's arm, the fire he put into it.
It's interesting that, as we shall see when we start discussing the prophecies here, of which we may fit in, that there's a talk of a fiery warrior in one of them.
That's true. Then we have...
If Melisandre is going to fill him with...
Yeah, fire. Well, we also have Forrest's method, which is the kiss of fire, the fiery kiss of the lore. Maybe. Another thought is the prologue. If you go back to Varmir Sixskins, and we learn about skin changers can live on in their beasts as they die.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that necessarily it can't be a combination of this. I mean, we have Jon's obsession about the bodies that he's put inside of the wall, keeping them, because he expects them to rise as whites. It seems the magic in the wall is preventing that.
Yeah.
Possibly you could also put Jon's body in storage, so to speak, if Melisandre perhaps isn't available or isn't willing to ride off, do what she needs to do.
Maybe she doesn't know how to do it.
She may not even know, so then you have his consciousness living on in Ghost, perhaps, his last words being Ghost. So
but he's reaching for
him.
He
has probably unknowingly reached for Ghost. He's a very strong...
Yes, that's a good point. Varmir said he was really strong. I think he's the strongest.
Yes, I think that as a warg, he's probably stronger than Bran, even. In pure warging ability.
Yeah.
So he probably slipped into Ghost without knowing what he was doing.
Yeah. So this leaves open the possibility that Bran and the Three-Eyed Crow will
be needed to bring his consciousness back into his body after Melisandre resurrects.
I kind of see a point where Jon is brought back, but he's not all there, and that needs to get fixed.
Yeah, or that he has a hard time staying in his body.
Yeah. So what will the cost be? I'm sure there will be some sort of cost. I certainly think one thing will happen, even if he is resurrected, he is going to be an outcast. The Night's Watch doesn't want him. The wildlings might be freaked out by him. They might think there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. I don't
Too much
think
like a white.
He's certainly not going to be the Lord Commander.
No. So I one of the stories we have from Old Nan is the last hero. He may end up playing that part alone, struggling to do something useful. And
then of course the possibility that he is one of the two prophesized, or the prophesized hero. We have the prophecies for Azor Ahai and the prince that was promised. It's whether they are one and the same, we don't know.
No.
It could perhaps be two different people. We have Aemon is convinced that the prince that was promised certainly fits Dany.
Right.
Once he learned that dragons were gender neutral, basically, so prince could just as well refer to princess. Azor Ahai is supposed to be reborn in
let me read this one. This is what Melisandre said, and this is her quote from her swords. When the red star bleeds and the darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again amidst smoke and salt to wake dragons out of stone. The bleeding star has come and gone, and Dragonstone is a place of smoke and salt. Now, she believes this is Stannis. He was Lord Dragonstone. The comet, the bleeding star, showed up. She's given him Lightbringer, which is, in fact, we all can tell, it's a glamoured sword. Now, Maester Aemon was sure of it. It's Dany now. She was born on Dragonstone, the place of smoke and salt, and she's woken dragons out of her eggs. It seems really convincing, to be honest.
And certainly her rebirth out of the fire happened as the comet appeared.
Yeah, it fits very well. Yeah. But some very clever people have pointed out that Jon's death scene provides an alternative.
Yeah, because you have the smoking wounds.
But the air is so
cold. The air is so cold that when the blood is pumping out, you have smoke coming from the wounds.
There's humidity,
And Bowen Marsh, as he stabs Jon, is crying. Salt tears.
And then we have Sir Patrick Kingsmountain, who is named after the blog reviewer Patrick St. Denis, who won a bet with George between George's New York Giants and Patrick's Dallas Cowboys. So this is why Sir Patrick Kingsmountain has a blue star on silver, the Dallas Cowboys emblem. Well, he died a very bloody, messy death.
Oh yes, that star is certainly bleeding after the giant has been swinging him around.
It's interesting, of course. I mean, this is something that George never intended. It's not like he always knew some knight with a star.
I'm not convinced of that part, but on the other hand, all these things just need to happen after or in some relation to the appearance of the comet. So the comet may still be the red star. I also
wonder, I don't know enough about astronomy. Could the comet come back? I mean, after
I wouldn't think so.
No.
It's usually much further in between, but the comet may just have marked the beginning of the period in which it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So
as possible proof of this is the fact that one of Dany's visions, again from the House of Undying, is of a blue rose growing from a chink in the base of the wall. This has a lot of implications, this blue rose. Veiled Bard, his story of the stolen
Rihanna,
rose.
who loved the blue winter roses.
So yes, this is an R plus L equation.
Yeah.
But it could also hint at where Jon goes, as you said, under the wall, being preserved.
Yeah. And Jon himself has a dream
That's correct.
in A Dance with Dragons where he sees himself with a red sword.
A red, not from blood, it's for a burning sword.
Yeah.
So, Lightbringer, who knows?
Yeah. And could he, if he's filled with the fire from Melisandre, be the fiery warrior?
I could completely see that. I could totally see that one. It'll be very interesting. The other thing, of course, is...
we have also, I guess I should say there, one thought I have had there is that, well, Victorian doesn't seem very able to contain the fire that Mokoro has put in, and his arm is crackling and that.
Yeah. But
if Jon is Rhaegar's son, he's half Targaryen, and we know that they seem to have some affinity for... not necessarily going up in flames quite so easily.
That's an interesting point. I didn't think about that one. Alright, so thank you. Bye.